Today, we're going way, way back to the very beginning. We're zeroing in on a single, transformative moment, an encounter in a remote mountain cave that would set the stage for a new world faith. This is the story of the first revelation in Islam.
And this story, well, it doesn't kick off with grand declarations in a bustling city. Nope, it starts in quiet and solitude, setting the scene for an event that would change the course of history. So if you had to guess, where would you say one of the world's great faiths began? You might picture a magnificent temple, maybe a grand palace. But the real location was much more raw, much more elemental. It all started on a rugged, windswept mountain.
Our journey takes us to a place known as Jabal al-Nur, and that name, well, it's incredibly fitting because it literally means the mountain of light. A perfect name, as it turns out, for a place where a new spiritual light was about to dawn.
And this isn't some mythical, far-off land. It's a real place. It's a mountain just about 6 kilometers northeast of the Kaaba in Mecca. It stands around 281 meters high, and it was inside a tiny cave on this very mountain where the seeds of Islam were first planted.
But here's the thing. An event this massive doesn't just happen out of the blue. There was a run-up to it, a period of preparation. The sources talk about a series of signs, kind of like the tremors you feel right before a massive earthquake, signaling that something huge was on the horizon. This wasn't a quick thing. It was a slow burn over 2 years. Around age 38, Muhammad started seeing strange lights and hearing sounds he couldn't place. Then at 39, it got even more intense. He began having what are called true dreams, visions so real they would actually happen the very next day. Imagine that. And it went on like this for 6 straight months, this period of intense spiritual activity that led him at age 40 to seek out total solitude in the cave of Hira.
Now, these experiences weren't just seen as random occurrences. In Islamic theology, there's a specific word for them: irhasat. The term basically refers to these kinds of amazing, unusual events that happen to a person before they officially become a prophet. You can think of it as a kind of divine prep school for the huge responsibility that's about to be placed on their shoulders.
And all that preparation leads us right here to the climax of the story. Alone in that cave during the final, most sacred nights of Ramadan, the moment of contact finally arrives. The year is 610. The month is Ramadan. One night, while Muhammad is deep in meditation, he's suddenly not alone. The angel Gabriel appears before him for the very first time. And the first word from the angel isn't a greeting, it's a command. A single, powerful word. Iqra. Read. But here's the crucial part. Muhammad was known to be unlettered, so his reply was just a simple, honest fact. I am not a reader. How could he possibly read something that wasn't even written down?
But the angel doesn't just ask again. The response is physical. It's intense. He embraces Muhammad, squeezing him with such force that he can barely breathe, and then repeats the command, read. A second time, Muhammad gives the same honest reply, and a second powerful embrace follows. It's only after the third embrace that the angel doesn't ask him to read, but instead reveals the words he is meant to recite, transmitting them directly through this incredible encounter.
And these are the very first verses of the Quran ever to be revealed. They start with that same command, read, but this time with a divine purpose, to read in the name of God, the Creator, a God who creates us, who is generous, and who teaches humanity, symbolized by the pen. Right from the very first message, the theme is clear. This is a path founded on learning and knowledge, a gift from God.
So after this unbelievable event, you might expect him to feel exhilarated, right? But that wasn't the immediate reaction. It was raw, unfiltered human fear.
He was completely overwhelmed. His heart was pounding in his chest, and he just fled the cave, rushing down the mountain totally shaken. The tradition even says that as he ran, the rocks and trees themselves called out to him, saying, "Peace be upon you, O messenger of Allah." As he's making his way down, he hears a voice from the sky. He looks up, and there's the angel again, but this time in a vast, human-like form that fills the entire horizon. And the message is crystal clear, leaving absolutely no room for doubt. "O Muhammad, you are the messenger of Allah, and I am Jibril." In that moment, He has a name for the angel, and a new title for himself.
When he finally gets home to his wife, Khadija, he's still in a state of shock, trembling and cold. His first words aren't some grand proclamation. They're a simple, desperate plea for human comfort. Cover me. Cover me.
Once his fear started to fade, he told Khadija everything that had just happened. Her first reaction was to soothe and reassure him, but she also knew they needed more. They needed wisdom. So they went to a respected elder who could help put this terrifying, incredible event into perspective. And Khadija's reassurance, it wasn't just empty comfort, it was rooted in his character. She told him, "By Allah, he will never disgrace you." And then she listed the reasons why. Because he was good to his family, helped the poor, and was always honorable. Her faith in him was based on everything she knew him to be. She was his first and strongest believer.
So Khadija takes him to her cousin, Waraka ibn Nawfal. Now this was an old, very wise man who is a monotheist and knew the earlier scriptures inside and out. After Waraka heard the story, it all clicked into place for him. He immediately identified the angel as Gabriel, the very same one who had come to Moses. He declared that Muhammad was the prophet the scriptures had foretold, but he also gave a stark warning. This divine mission would not be easy. Your own people, he said, will eventually drive you out.
So now, armed with this confirmation, the story comes full circle. The public mission hadn't begun yet, but the very first seed of a new faith community was about to be planted.
Returning from Waraka's, Muhammad asked this incredibly vulnerable question, "I have been tasked to call people to the truth. Who will believe me?" And Khadija's response was immediate. It was absolute. She didn't say, "I'm sure someone will." She simply said, "Offer it to me."
And with that simple, powerful exchange, by declaring her belief in one God and in Muhammad as his messenger, Khadija became the very first Muslim, the first to believe. Her unwavering support in that quiet, private moment laid the very first stone for a community that would grow from just one person to billions across the globe.
So we go from a solitary man in a cave to a wife's powerful act of belief to a sage's historical confirmation. It's this incredible chain of moments. And it really leaves you with a powerful question, doesn't it? How does a single personal moment of conviction, a quiet conversation between two people, ripple outwards to change the entire course of human history?